Hello again, traders, and welcome back to the Hot Stocks Outlook for December 27th, 2024. Hope you all have had a nice week out there in the financial markets. As always, we're going to take a look at the most recent VantagePoint A.I predictive forecast. So if you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and click on that link down in the description below and get yourself signed up for a live demonstration so you can learn all the specifics about how these predictive technologies are helping traders make better trading decisions in the market. So as we get into the end of the year, this will actually be our last Hot Stocks Outlook of the year before getting to 2025. And we see if we look at our year-to-date number on the S&P, we are just a smidge over 27%. So we'll see if that lasts going into really the tail end of the year here. And we've had stocks sort of bounce back. So we had some weakness over the past couple weeks, which we highlighted in these videos, especially IWM, the Russell Index, the Dow had certainly turned lower, and you saw a lot of stocks follow suit here. But let's go ahead and get caught up with some of these predictive forecasts. Many of these we'd looked at over some previous Hot Stocks Outlook, but let's go ahead and start out here with Soundhound A.I. And this is a really great example of how all of these predictive indicators work together to help traders, again, make those better trading decisions, whether swing trading, day trading, really help execute your overall strategy here. So what we have is daily price action that we're looking at here. So every one of the candles that you see, well, that's going to represent a full and complete trading day. And it's right up against that price data that you're going to notice that there is a black line and a blue line value. So the black line that you're seeing there is actually a simple moving average. It's a very common technical analysis tool. In this case, it's a 10 period. So it looks at the previous 10 closes, adds those all together, and then divides by that number. So what that does for traders is, well, at least VantagePoint traders, is it acts as a good baseline, right? All that information coming from a simple moving average is rearward looking, right? It comes from the past and really just reconfigures what's already occurred. Additionally, it only looks at Soundhound A.I, right? It doesn't take into account how other markets, other tech stocks, other major indices may be affecting the future price action of this stock. And so what VantagePoint traders are able to do is compare that black line value, or what we call actually a lagging moving average, to this proprietary predicted moving average. And for this value to get calculated and plotted on the chart, well, this is where that technology of artificial neural networks come into play, and they're performing what we would call intermarket analysis. And so what that means is that rather than looking at just the past prices of Soundhound here, it's looking at other markets that are known to drive and influence the future price. Now, this will really be dozens of markets, and they can include things like the major indices like the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ, but it's also going to find a lot of subtle relationships between individual stocks that sometimes share leading or lagging correlations, positive or inverse relationships. And it's even going to look at global commodities and global currencies, global interest rates. So the big macro part of the market, whether that be the value of the dollar index, the value of important commodities, or even global interest rates. And so it's able to take all of this into account, understanding specifically how is this affecting the market in question that the trader is actively trading, and then uses that information to generate these highly accurate predictions of where price is headed next. And so every week, we really take a look at these same suite of predictive indicators. And whenever we see this blue line cross above the black line, well, it's suggesting average prices are going to start moving higher. Additionally, we can pay attention to what is the distance between that blue line and the black line, indicating how strong the overall trend is. And so we can see here that it's been really about a month here from that blue line crossing above the black line here in this stock. And you've gotten 197% push in the last 23 days, essentially a 200% gain here just in the past month of trading. But that's not all, right? So we also provide at the very bottom of the chart, you see this bar that goes from green to red and back to green. This is called the VantagePoint Predicted Neural Index, and it's tuned to solve a different problem. It's not looking for the overall trend like our predicted moving average. It's really forecasting short-term strength or weakness over the next couple of trading days. You can think of that 48 hours or a couple of candles on the chart. And so shorter-term traders can use this to really be forewarned of when there's likely to be some potential weakness in the market or when that momentum is really heating up, both in the overall trend and in the short term. Lastly, we take a look at our predicted high and low values. And this is where things get really exciting because VantagePoint produces a predicted high and low before each and every trading day. So this area here that you're seeing is produced before every trading day, and we can actually look back and see how accurate all of these predictions have been. So the VantagePoint trader can say, okay, well, if this trend is up and I want to start taking out long positions on Soundhound A.I, where do I want to be looking to establish a position? And we see here that we get multiple entries here before this market really starts to pick up steam. So we actually get a little bit of a gap down here right towards that predicted low. Next day, you see settling right at the predicted low, and we start getting that move. But this is where VantagePoint is exceptional at adapting. So once all that additional information comes in that, hey, this market's traded up, what's going on with those intermarket relationships, and then generate these predictive indicators once more for the next trading day. You see how this works, especially in the short term, really helping traders hone in on some prime buying opportunities and locations. Here you see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 opportunities on the bullish side. And if we even look at just this move over the past couple of trading days, this alone has been a 25% rally, which, if you're trading with some profits from earlier in the trade, that's where opportunities can get really exciting here. So really exciting move there in Soundhound. Again, about a 200% rally just over the past month of trading here. Next, we can go to Apple. So this is a stock we looked at over the past couple of weeks. And as we got a lot of that weakness in IWM, we'll revisit that. But many stocks turning lower. Well, here's the forecast for Apple. And you actually see you never get that blue line crossing below the black line. And the overall trend, running up on some new highs here. So again, we can see that predicted moving average crosses all the way back here in the midpoint of November. Neural index very bullish there. And as we look at these VantagePoint predicted highs and lows, this is where things really get exceptional, moving down towards these levels and helping traders establish a position very early on here. So I think we were actually looking at this somewhere back here over the past couple of weeks. And we see, look, the overall trend is up. We had a little bit of a squirrely day here, but look how fast the software adapts. So it's telling you, look for this range to start going lower. Okay, look for things to actually settle out. And this is telling us the predicted high is actually going to be higher the next trading day. And that's where we see things accelerate. So once again, just over the past week from some of these predicted lows, getting a move about 5% just in shares of Apple. Overall, you're up about 15% just over the past 30 trading days in shares there. Boeing, so this was another stock that really throughout the summer and the beginning part of the fall had really done really poorly. This is coming off some really longer term lows, but we get that blue line crossing above the black line. You'll notice that the neural index goes bearish here, and you tend to see that sideways price action before the resumption of the trend, but you're never getting that crossover, right? The blue line is still maintaining above the black line. And you see all of this separation going into the last couple of weeks here, and sure enough, Boeing has held up fairly well. As we really look into the minutia of this, right, we see those predicted highs and lows. And again, each week, pretty much about as good as an entry you could get for the week. Really close on this day. You may have gotten an order if you were close to that predicted low. But 3 entries over the past couple weeks as the market drifts higher here. So once again, we can take a look at the overall move here in shares of Boeing. And let's see here, about a 23% rally just over the past 23 trading days. So exceptional move there. Now, because of the holiday, you get a little bit of illiquidity. A lot of traders, take time off and aren't really trading this time of year. And so we saw a lot of stocks pull back, and you really want to understand, where is that happening? Where may this affect my portfolio? So here we come back to IWM, and this is one of the early markets where we said, okay, well, we're starting to see this weakness. So you really want to be prepared for this. But this is where VantagePoint traders can use signals like this to really get ahead of that. And so we see that, we get that blue line crossing below the black line. Really a good example of the broader market here, where all that weakness came in. We even saw the S&P get driven lower by the Fed. But more recently, we see this neural index popping up, seeing some of that strength come in, but still trend-wise, we could find some better places, I think, to get on the long side here. But again, let's look at those predicted highs and lows. This is where this is really exceptional. Again, you get these, individual levels down to the specific day, down to a specific level where we should expect prices to trade. And even as markets start to recover, we see starting to bounce back here, moving up from these predicted lows, when we know that strength is coming into the market. So pretty interesting example here with IWM. And what, happens here is when we get these major indices going lower, like here with the Russell and also the Dow, we're expecting that weakness, right? So when we're going to get a 6% move lower, we see these indices going lower. None of this stuff really, hits us by surprise. Here's waste management, another really great example of this. As you're, identifying some of these reversal conditions and things getting weak, well, this is where the IntelliScan is really going to provide you with all of the individual stocks where this is occurring. So here in waste management, just like in some of those indices, we're seeing those crossovers move to the downside, indicating that this may be an area that's going to experience some weakness. Whereas, some of these other stocks were clearly saying, no, these are in strong uptrends. But Waste Management, which has been a fairly strong stock throughout the year, now starting to see some weakness here. So once again, we can look at our predicted highs and lows here. And this is where we get these exceptional price levels to potentially short, maybe hedge some of the longs in the portfolio, and keep managing and adapting with that situation. So as we see the market start to run sideways here, again, the software doing a good job of picking out these predicted highs and lows so traders can make some better trading decisions, make some adjustments to the portfolio, and make sure they're positioned on the right side of things. So as we have volatility kick back into the market, you have things that are really advancing and benefiting from that. So you see about an 8, almost 9% move just in the past 14 trading days on Waste Management going lower. We can move over to energies as well, which we've seen a lot of weakness. Certainly we're, haven't seen those days of really strong crude oil rallies in a while. And here's Exxon Mobil. So again, that blue line crossing below the black line. And look at the neural index here. So this is a great example of how this is a 48-hour indicator with a very high level of accuracy, upwards of 80+% accuracy. And so when we look at that over, holiday season, Fed announcements, earnings reports, it's still maintaining that very high level of accuracy. And this is what helps traders understand the overall trend and stick with that momentum. And as things, again, that strength starts to come in, that neural index flips to bullish and you see the market running sideways here, right? Not that bearish momentum that we had previously seen, but again, these predicted highs acting as great levels to go ahead and get short. And days like this are a really great example of that market gaps up. You'll get filled right at the open if you're prepared for that, and then immediately trading lower and into profit and that momentum heating up. So again, really nice moves here, but really nice forecasts, really forewarning of some of that weakness that we've gotten over the past couple of weeks. So about a 10, almost 11% move lower here in just the past 21 trading days. So we'll go ahead and leave it there for today. Once again, this has been the Hot Stocks Outlook for December 27th, 2024. Thank you all for watching. Best of luck, and see you in the new trading year. Bye for now.